finish up uyazi kuhamba like away.
Siyanda bhuti wami.
Kuyaphila bhuti
Khamba kahle
No,
njani
it's an honor. It's an honor being invited to Slack. You know, it's the business that was established in Buga. We were still at school. You were in the higher grades. I was still coming up. You know, and the most beautiful thing is that you overcame a lot of challenges. You know, and I was also a witness of those challenges. But irregardless, you never lost hope in your business. So I want us to look at the word economy on its own, like economy, that ECO. It means that evolution creating opportunities. No, in order for us to tap into the global market, we need to evolve. Our main focus right now is land, but I don't think that we should be focusing on land that much because land is for sale. You know, I feel that we should be focusing on developing our skills and understanding fourth industrial revolution. You know, where everything is going digital. What does that mean? It means that in order for you to grow a country's economy, you need to first understand the yield of economy. Now, the yield of economy is every return that you get on investment. Now, understanding that, Y also means that GDP, gross domestic product, which is the money made by a country in a year. Now, that is determined by export business, you know. Like right now, we are more focused on import business, like our supplies. Like I've mentioned the businesses that are growing in Waterloo, but right now we are still supplying the internal market. So we are not contributing that much towards the GDP of the country, you know. So we need to develop our skills to such an extent that we focus more on exporting products. As I said, that most of the developed countries, they have a target market. We have not yet established our target market because we're still referencing China to say China made it and whatsoever. But we need to understand that China had a target market and they also used Mandela's codes. China invested in their education system by making sure that they send their students abroad to take foreign knowledge and bring it back inland. And also they understood that in order for you to do that, you need to be in a rainbow nation. So they eliminated hate first. In order for you to tap into the economy, you need to eliminate hate for the white race, because remember that money is an idea, and that idea was established by white people. So by them understanding that, they need to go out and get foreign knowledge and bring it back inland. Like they're building cars. There's a fake Rolls Royce, there's a fake Bentley, there's a fake whatsoever. Yes, we may call it fake, but it's their brand. Understanding that they went out there, they took the skills and they brought it inland. Now, in order for you to learn from the enemy, you need to dance with the enemy. If you so call them the enemy. But I don't think that we should see white people as the enemy, because remember that the knowledge that we possess today was established by them. The qualification which you hold, it's white knowledge. The qualification that I hold, it's white knowledge. So why not give them the credit that they deserve and also learn from them in order for us to advance? You know, the education system of this country is perfect. But the thing is, we have given hope so much that every idea which seems stupid, we don't want to even tackle that idea. To make a reference, there are 3 boys that cycled from Limpopo to Cape Town. Now, if you thought about that in a rational mind, you'll say that's the most stupidest idea. Now, you need to understand that the most stupidest ideas are those ideas that pay the most, because that means that you are thinking out of the box, you know. So you need to understand that the youth of today, we are not only hungry for opportunity, but we are angry. You know, and that anger that we have inside is because the government does not recognize us. They don't recognize our capabilities, and they don't want to invest in our ideas. Like if you look at the situation of those 3 boys, with my understanding, I understand that an idea does not come to everyone. It comes to a single person. Now, out of the 3 of them, that idea popped up in one person's mind. And the most beautiful thing about those boys is understanding that they value each other's ideas.
Sure.
To such an extent whereby they supported this idea of going to Cape Town by cycling.
Sure.
They didn't have hotel plans. They just said, in order for us to fundraise for this campaign, let us try something new.
Sure.
And it's paying up. It's paying up. They're getting a lot of investments. They're getting a lot of attention.
Sure.
But we need to put in the value of that work. Like, they traveled approximately 1,800 kilometers. Like, we shouldn't put it like that. That's a big thing for a black person to do. We should like maybe say that they traveled 1.8 million meters.
Sure.
So by us saying that, we are giving value to those people's work. Those guys, I actually want to meet them one day, because for them to do such a thing, it took a really supportive structure. They really needed to support each other.
Sure.
They had a game plan, and
they executed all.
Yes.
So sorry to disturb. So going deep into your point in saying that we cannot like go back, as in like if you want to create value to the global market, because that's the only way.
Yes.
Because we cannot rely on government. Government is just there for systems.
Yes.
But for our economy, it's something that needs to be contributed by the creators,
yes,
by the entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So you're saying that like the native rule won't really work for us, like going after land, trying to change those mining so-called laws so that they can favor the black person.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that if you want to bring back the native rule for the benefits of the people, in bringing back their moral system, understanding respect and valuing each other as decision-making skills, that will be a good thing. But in order for us to tap into the economy, the native rule means that we need to go back. Now, remember that the youth of today is advanced. I believe that even if you return the land to the kings, they will sell it back to the white people, because the lifestyle in which they are living, it is advanced, So I know that many people say that by us going back, we are valuing ourselves. But as I said, that the purpose of life is to evolve. Now, the native, everything is evolving around us. I mean, we are South Africans. Ubungoma is evolving. The music industry is evolving. Before, you used to dance to one song for an entire year. Now, the piano guys, they became so creative that there are new hits every day. So why are we not evolving our system, of doing things? Like, and one thing that you need to remember, that there are racial discriminations within South Africa. There are tribal discriminations within South Africa. If you say that the native rule must rule, which native rule are we going to use? Because I'm from the Mpondo land, you from KwaZulu, and I will not sacrifice my native rule. So which native rule must we use? Understanding that even today living, there are internal politics within South Africa, tribal politics and racial politics. So you need to be specific, because remember that we are using 11 languages. Now, if we are using 11 languages, it's like we have 11 different tribes. So which native rule are we going to use?
No, man, it's so contradicting. Yes. So, Mbeto, as you're speaking, Mbeto, I take highly of your knowledge. And Mbeto, just to add on a good, like you made an example about how China created value
to
the world. Like we had spoken about commodity of which is gold the other day. Speaking on how the agenda of ama mines and we were challenging in the okay, fine. If the white supremacy, the white monopoly can just hand out equally, we asked each other, Mina as undu, how much gold do I hold in here? Am I the target market of gold? You understand? Because the white man is behind the chain of mining and gold, and at that same time they are the target market of the value of that gold.
Yes.
So they actually making gold, like controlling the making of gold to sell it back to themselves.
Yes.
So we're speaking on it like Tina, we are not the target market of gold because like here in Waterloo, there's not so much of people that hold the value of gold. So much siyawuthatha umhlaba wokumina, and we run the gold and the platinum and the commodities business. Who are we gonna sell to? Because the market is gonna go away, which is the white people.
Yes, and it's a very beautiful point. You need to understand that in order for you to tap into the economy, you need to have a target market. China had a target market, which is themselves in Africa. Now, we as South Africans, we have not established our target market as yet. You need to understand that the value of gold was given to it by white people. We do not hold that much gold. So I understand that if someone gave something value, they can also take it away. To make a typical example, there's this trend of creating electric cars. Now, you may think that creating electric cars is meant to save the global pollution or control the pollution content of the world.
Sure.
But if you look at it into depth, the largest supplier of petroleum is Saudi Arabia. Now, if there are electric cars that are manufactured, what are they doing? They are reducing the export market of Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is doing really good with the supply of petroleum. Now, not everything done is meant to benefit the people. There's always a hidden agenda in every invention, you know. Once I said that even town planners, they have a hidden agenda. Like if they are building residential development projects, RDPs, you may think that is to develop the black community for a black person to have a house. No. It is to increase the labor force outside the market of the white people, because the white people needs us to work. So they want to make sure that we are close by in order for them to drive their market. And you need to understand that the state-owned entities, like most people, they're emotional into this. They say that Rupert, Oppenheimer, they have more than 6,000 companies. Now, those 6,000 companies are those companies which are running the South African economy. And they are using us as the labor force. If you say that you want to take away the mines and the gold market and own it, who are you going to be selling the gold to? You know, because they can just say, you know, we don't need gold anymore, we're not going to buy gold anymore, and gold would lose its value. So I believe that our leaders rely more on text. They read a lot of books, they acquire a lot of knowledge from foreign land. But I don't think that we have leaders who are critical thinkers, you know, like people who think outside the box. Like right now, the youth is more exposed to technology than the old generation. I mean, the youth is making a life out of technology. Like YouTube is paying a lot of youth. TikTok is paying a lot of youth. Like now, if you are driving a motive, to make an example, there's this case going on. Now, the people who are supporting that case drastically is the youth. Now, every university is going to protest to say that we need justice for that kid, you know. So we as the youth, we have more power when it comes to influence, because we understand the evolution side of media, you know. Right now, I can just go on TikTok and put my story online, and a lot of people will get that knowledge. Whereby before, you had a lot of obstacles when it came to spreading knowledge, you know. But I feel that our leaders, they're not aware of many things, you know. Like I always say that land is for sale. Like there are other races which are in the property market. They don't have land to say that my father owned the land, but they bought the land and they are moving forward. Like if opportunities came and we invested in the land that we have, because the truth is, life kamakona, umhlaba ukona. We have maybe more than a hectare of land, but we do not see the use for that land. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to take away a system which is already in use. Like the mining industry is already in use. Before, we didn't care about gold. We used to make ibaya with ikolite. We didn't see the value of gold. But now, so because that now, to make a typical example, you created Islak, right? Someone sees that, Islak business is working and Uslak ubeki container emhlabeni wami, right? So they'll come to you and demand that you give them your property. Is that fair? That's not fair. I mean, you took something which was valueless or something that seemed to be valueless and you gave value to it. Now that it has value, someone wants to take it away from you, and that is not fair. And that is why that we'll keep on having these debates, and some people will think that I may be defending the white people. I'm not defending them. But in order for us to grow, we need to learn from them, and we need to understand that Africa ourselves, we are not targeting each other when it comes to exports. Like, we are not building businesses to say, I want to supply Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Ethiopia, the African countries. We can also grow the market by doing that. But what are we saying? We are saying that we want to take away businesses which are already exporting somebody else's idea. We want to take it forcefully and use it to benefit ourselves. That's not logic. That is not growing. China didn't do that. China went into the United States. They took their knowledge, they came back, and they advanced it. The purpose of knowledge is for you to take what you have learned and advance it and make it better. Because remember that the books that you are reading today, it was one man's idea. Now, one man's idea doesn't necessarily mean that that idea is correct, but it means that it was reasonable at that time. You understand?
I get you.
Some people will say that it would be fair to give land back to Amakosi, but what is the plan for that land? What are we planning to do with that land? Are we planning to build factories? What kind of factories? What other markets are we trying to tap into to use that land? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Definitely get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Speaking of how you were speaking about the town planners and everything, we always believe that a good thing, like it means in virtual we're gonna be like the freedom, but it would be in there zokwazi ukuthi isise phambili. But honestly, even before apartheid,
yes,
the way like angazi noma kuthi RDP, but the economies eyinikwa abantu for abantu basuke emakhaya. Like let's say there's going to be a plant in FA6, but there were ama residentials that were built as I said, to that working force, residential. So, you speaking of they actually don't serve the purpose that we think as black people. What's the catch, Lapuba?
The catch is, remember that a white person doesn't invest in something that he will not get a return in. They understood that they took the coastal land, they took the more valuable part of South Africa. So they understood that in order for them to drive their plan, they needed a labor force. Now that labor force needed a roof on top of their heads, So, but they knew that at some point a black man will open his mind. So what did they do? Remember that every system that exists, it's governed by a white man. Whether you're an engineer, you're a town planner, you're an architect, those schemes that you are using to drive that profession, they're established by a white person. So I'll make a simple example. Most of the developed areas, they are able to be rezoned. When I talk about rezoning, I mean taking a residential area into a commercial area. Now, how do you do that? A town planning scheme says if you want to rezone, you need to have 900 square meters of land. Now, Lai will tell you there is no house with 900 square meters. So, which means that we are restricted from rezoning. We'll always be doing unauthorized building works, which means that even if we submit plans, we only submit plans for habitable spaces, like for our own use, but not for business use. You understand? So if a town planner comes to design, they say, you know what, we're going to allocate 250 square meters of land or 300 square meters of land. You're thinking that it is for more people to get housing, but it actually increases the restriction of black people from developing themselves. Like if you go into developed areas, a house can be demolished and units can be built, but we cannot build units because the units need to have a kitchen, they need to have ablution areas and what's or not. And our budget does not allow us, and our spacing does not allow us. Like to be more precise, the National Building Regulations was recently amended into Sense 10400. Okay. So now that takes into consideration energy efficiency and stormwater control. So in order for you to build units, you need to have like a way to control your stormwater because of the rains that you are having and what's or not. You need to build an attenuation tank. Now an attenuation tank, it's maybe a 10 by 10 meter, 10 meters by 10 meters, and we do not have the spacing. If you're going to have 10 units, you need to have like minimum of 10 parking spaces, Like it does not apply to us. Those rules do not accommodate low-cost housing. And we need to look at those issues, like every profession needs to understand what is it that is being used in that profession to restrict us from developing as black people. That's what we need. The purpose of Mandela saying that education is the key of opening all doors. Which doors was he talking about? The economic doors. He understood that at that time the purpose of taking away white people in 1994 completely, it would have destroyed this country. But by him keeping the white people in this country, it's because he wanted us to learn from them first, so that we can develop our systems. But now the hate that we have, it's blocking our critical thinking. Because an angry man doesn't think. An angry man acts first before thinking. And we need to think first before we act.
But most definitely. But so it's something that I really appreciate. So what can be done to just like solve this little bit of like participating globally as an economy? As the black economy, what can be done right now? We're going to be facing my elections. Is there a way that can actually play a role in solving this riddle?
Yes. A lot of things can be done, but the first step is to eliminate hate. For the people which we want to join the economic cycle. We need to eliminate hate. And tapping into politics, politicians need to start recognizing the youth. That they have not convinced the youth to believe in their system. The youth put them into power. Why do I say that? We come from many situations like the COVID-19, the looting, and the 2024 elections, it was the youth voting out their anger. Like I believe in order for you to grow, you need to use statistics, you need to use numbers. Like there's more youth in this country than our old generation. Not everything is a disadvantage. I always see people saying that the high birth rate of this country is an issue. It's not an issue. It's an opportunity, because the more people we have, the more market we have within this country without even taking the external market. So if we can supply ourselves first, before we supply the outside world will really do a really good in the economy, you know. And we need to start developing ideas of growing the African economy. Like I always make an example. If you are growing up in your home and you tell your mother that one day I'll become an engineer, they'll say, yes, you will become an engineer, but they're not fully convinced. They'll only be convinced the day you tell them that you are graduating, or the day that you tell them that you've been accepted in varsity to pursue that engineering career. You know that. So nobody owes you anything when it comes to self-development or ideas in which that you feel that can grow the economy. You know, it's not. People don't owe you the right to say, you know what, we believe that these ideas will work. But it's up to the person who's promoting or pitching those ideas to take the stepping stone in making sure that those ideas come to life. You know, so we need to first believe in our systems. You know, believe that we can do. We can make it in the global market, because right now we do not have a plan in tackling the global market, but we believe that we need to take away something which is existing and try and run it. You know, we are not pushing for new ideas to say, you know what, the youth is exposed in TikTok. What can we do? What motive can we promote? A South African motive. What South African knowledge can we promote? What value can we add? Like if everyone can say, you know what, everyone can post these boys that went from Limpopo to Cape Town and say that these guys traveled 1.8 million meters. Now everyone globally will be like, how did they do it? You know, what is 1.8 million meters? You know, in their way of measuring. You know, and that will bring value to every work that we do. As I said, that now you may be charging 70 rand to cut hair minimum. You know, we shouldn't say it's 70 rand. 70 rand is too obvious. If you write a book to say how I made it by cutting hair for 15 rand, it's not going to grab that much attention, unless you into that inquisitive knowledge of saying that I want to know how a certain person made it. But if you want to grab somebody's attention, you need to exaggerate your ideas. You know, you need to say like how I made it into the hair business by cutting hair by 150 cents. You know, that brings a lot of value into your book, and it makes a lot of people, because that's a perfect introduction. Because the most important thing in writing a book or in pitching is your introduction. You know, the way you introduce your idea is the most important thing, you know.